What up guys, gals, they, thems, and she thangs? Welcome back to my channel, All American Jamie, where I talk about all topics that I find important. Now, hope you're all having a great day. After I got so much reception off my first video, I decided to make another one, going over something I think is very important, and that is sex and gender. Maybe not the most exciting topic out there, I know, but one that's worth discussing nonetheless, because it deals with an aspect of our humanity which currently seems to be imploding. And I think it's important, regardless of identification, that we all come to terms with ourselves, simply because all people deserve to be at peace with who they are. So when I was first getting my degree in women's and gender studies, it was the first time in my life I was introduced to gender/feminist theory, which is really an arm of postmodern critical theory. If you've never heard of postmodernism, it's the philosophical underpinning of identity politics today. In response to the logical, scientific objectivism of the modern era, a postmodern worldview validates the individual's subjective reality, thus negating the formation of fundamental human truths. Here is an introduction to the theory that I learned in school.
Buckle up, buckaroo!
The sex organs of a person usually correspond with their chromosomes. XX referring to female's uterus, vagina, ovaries, and XY referring to a male's testes and penis. These genetic configurements give our primary and secondary sexual characteristics, often those features that make us more masculine or feminine. There are instances where sexual development does not present typically. According to the University of Michigan's Medical School webpage on disorders of sexual development, there are many different moments during sexual development, from conception all the way up to puberty, that can influence the process of sexual differentiation. Each of these conditions is being studied by scientists and physicians today to determine the best treatment outcome for each individual. The expression of our sex is referred to as our gender, man or woman. Gender theorists believe that gender is a social construct, meaning how we act as a man and woman is governed by the society we live, not by biological connections to our sex. Since there is no biological reality to the categories of man and woman, gender becomes fluid. Personal feelings about how someone identifies with their gender governs how someone identifies. This is how we've arrived to non-binary and gender-fluid categories. When I was in school, sex was not considered by all my instructors as a social construct. There was a burgeoning trans movement in the department that was validating the trans experience, becoming the other sex. While many students and faculty embraced this theory, there was also a feminist cohort that believed that trans women, males, should not be categorized as females. TERFs, or trans exclusionary radical feminists, believe that sexual difference is a fundamental reality because their worldview consists of dismantling the patriarchy, male-dominated society. While I do think that TERFs may be actually transphobic, some of them, I think many more fear what may happen to women's spaces that used to imply female only. What compounds this is a core tenet of feminist/critical theory ideology that the personal is political. Since we live in a patriarchal society dominated by men, the mere existence of a woman is a political statement, and every point of contact a woman has with her society at large is a potential site of violence against her for being a woman. Now, with non-binary and trans theory today, all points of mainstream culture or heteronormativity that does not coincide with an individual's identity personally offends them in the same political/personal way. This is why TERFs are called transphobic, because upholding sexual dimorphism, male and female, is to deny trans people's sense of reality. What's tending to happen is that the more difference that you have in comparison to the stereotyped mainstream, the more clout you have. They rely on you being angry all the time about your identity, so that as soon as a topic is mentioned, there's no longer a need for reason. There's already emotion, and that is how people get manipulated. Now, what I think about all this. In order to treat people humanely, it does not require a social revolution. Disorders of sexual development and gender dysmorphia exist, and I believe with my whole heart that their ability to live healthy and happy lives is essential to the American value of freedom. Instead of throwing the biological reality of sex out with the bathwater, why don't we accept that some males can express as women and some females can express as men? And why don't we give them their own categories? This would increase the amount of genders to 4, but keep the amount of sexes to 2. In the spectrum of possible expressions of being male, being a man, most men have masculine traits due to their biological makeup. And oppositely, women have more feminine traits due to their biological makeup. Feminine presenting males are no less men than masculine presenting males. Masculine presenting females are no less women than more feminine presenting females. Each are natural representations of their sex and should be embraced for what they contribute to human genetic expression. The impression that I get from being in the gay community and my experience from school is that many people who deviate from the gender norms feel hurt that people have not accepted them in their communities for who they are in the past. But this movement of identity taps into the pain but offers no solution, only politics. Instead of saying who we are is all beautiful, it's saying who you are is this thing that exists as a foil to the straight normal people. The identity theorists can't explain how their own practices, which they say is different than the power establishment at large, creates the same us versus them categorization that they claim imprisons them. It's easy for people who feel dispossessed from what they perceive as normal to accept models of social anarchy. And that's what I find a lot of this gender debate is about. It's about breaking down what people perceive to be a threat to their personal identity. In a technological modern world where we have to work together with logic and reason to keep fair account of what's going on, we cannot abandon who we are as humans, especially when we are talking about how all this ideology impacts our future generations and our children. In a real world, children growing up need to feel confident in their identities. If there are some children who present differently, we should be prepared in our classrooms to handle these people, but we should not tell kids that their sex is not fixed and that who they are can change if they believe it. You are now going to thrust a political ideology onto mainstream children who will start experiencing the same gender confusion that children today experience if they are male girls or female boys. This ideology does not produce social stability. It turns dispossessed people into political operatives, and I think that's wrong. My identity is not to be mined like a necessary power core for a political machine. If you want my support, it's because you're engaging with my reasoning and are offering me sound solutions to society's problems. I'm not going to be swept in this new religion of gender or have to kiss the ring of the most intersectional post-gender priestess. Not my scene. Well, that's it for me, guys. Please hit the like button and subscribe. If you're interested in hearing more about postmodernism or critical theory, I'm going to be making another video more focused on these topics with a little bit more examples. Please let me know in the comments what you think. If you have any topics that you wish for me to cover, please let me know. Also, if we get into good conversation in the comments below, I'll post it at the end of the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I wish you all a great day. Ciao!